So Battersby again in the 50s, look, 152. Something really not right here, whether it's something happened. I have had it when I've got pitted and it feels like you're on hards, yet you're supposed to be on softs. But the tyres are wearing like softs there, so I don't think that is the case. It just seems strange. He was running 146s earlier, now he's doing 152. Well, we'll stay with him, see what's going wrong on his laps. Things a little bit... Will he get a penalty there? He did take a lot of sausage. Yes, he will. These have spread out a little bit more, 9 and 10. Toto seemingly got the better of Slipstream now, but it was a good battle for a good while. Pastina still 2.3 seconds back, so Slipstream got a little bit of a buffer for the time being, but they will be approaching the last lap very soon.
Yeah, everyone in lobby 2 is in the pits and ready to go.
I will jump to P1. He is on lap 68 now. And he's just coming up to the second chicane. Before he goes round Lesmaster his first time, last time. Not his first time, definitely not. The gap down to under 5 seconds now though. Mike has closed that gap down in the last lap also. And pushing hard, and he did a 148.2 on his last couple of laps, did Gobbies. So, I think he's just took it easy. Just get it to the finish in P1. He'll have done everything that would have been expected of him, or hoped of him. As he comes round the parabolica for the last time to enter the pits. And Mike is also in. Copy is in and still. And Mike is still. And here comes Sab, and he's still as well. So Mike and Sab very close together.
And the first car is off in lobby 2.
King's coming in now for the MRLB team. And Battersby finally, he'll be glad to get out of this car. Had a fantastic race up until this stint. The MRL2B team, he stopped. And Battersby stopped. Zumik coming in now in the BMW. And Langster. And Zumik has stopped. Langster in and stopped also. Resistance next. DRC3 team, he is in and stopped. And we have Wolf coming round. Toto is in the pits. The Loose Moose Racing team, and he's stopped. And we have Slipstream in P10 as well, he's also stopped, and Pastina for the last of the DC teams. Then all we have left is the, apart from obviously the M6, the non-Supras, which has still got nearly a whole lap to do.
Just about the whole field out on circuit now. Surprised by the gaps. Some of them are quite close, given we've already had 2 hours of racing.
It's a lot closer than some of the previous ones we've had. It's been good racing as well so far. There's been battles all over the field. I'm just going to open the other stream up as well.
Fantastic. Let's hope it continues. Just waiting on the McLaren at the moment. That's the last car to make its way around, I believe.
Is the Jag not No Jag in yours today, is there?
No. There's 12
would that
entries.
have been Gemini, would it?
Unfortunately, we've lost an entry with this lobby.
Yes, I imagine that was Gemini. He was not been well today, unfortunately. And I need to do some digging around as well, because I know there's something special about CLR Speedy's livery.
Race Asylum Nick has just taken the lead, so there must have been a mistake by the car of Pescapoldo. We'll see if we can catch that on replay. Unfortunately not. Maybe it was the second chicane, judging by the rough proximity.
Creasy overtaking Speedy going into the pits. Actually overtook him in the pit lane. How very cheeky.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you are racing up to the line, I suppose, so...
Exactly.
All fair in love and
war.
war.
He stopped. That was it. The pink cloud livery, it is for mental health, depression and anxiety. Oh, and Speedy has actually accidentally left the pits as well. He better stop. Right, guys, I am going to end this stream. I suppose he can now, isn't it? Because everyone else is done. So, thanks for tuning into this one. I will stay with Zokeo for a little bit, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yep, fantastic. Thank you very much, PB. Welcome to Stint 2, everyone. As I mentioned, we've already had a change for the lead during the transition period. 4 laps of the 68 down so far to reach the halfway distance marker, and Pescapoldo is still losing a bit of time to Nick after that overtake. The gap now up to 3 seconds. And that's the thing with different drivers for the different stints. They're going to have different pace levels. It's a bit like when you see in real life GT racing when the gentleman drivers get in compared to the pros, and though being in different times. It's fascinating to see how the race develops. But yeah, at the moment Pescapoldo's still trying to find a rhythm. Seems to have, I was going to say stabilised the gap between Speed Hunter and them at the moment, but Speed Hunter gaining a bit. They are on mediums. Interesting of note. Quickly check the leader. The leader are also on mediums, and with a glitched fuel warning light, it seems. So the team will have to look into that. New purple lap there by R.A. Nick. Everyone should have the tyres up to temperature now after waiting in the pits. Plenty of Supras, as you would have seen from Lobby 1. Seems to be the go-to car of choice. There's a crash and damage for CFC. That was on the straight. That was bizarre. They've picked up mechanical damage. They've stopped on circuit. We're going to have a replay of this shortly. But best to stay with them now at the moment. Is that hardware failure? Oh! Good avoidance there by Wayno. Thomas Betty coming up as well, and the contact! So a massive mistake. Thomas Betty manages to avoid getting damage from that. Let's see what happened. random steering input, it seems. That to me seems like a hardware failure of sorts. I don't think they touched the graphs. Physics have got a bit more sensitive to throttle inputs and such, but that really shouldn't have happened. Unless he lost it on the brakes, he was somewhat in the braking zone. And is able to steer fine now. I'm gonna get the chat up for Spin 2. Hello everyone. So we have plenty of positions lost by CCFC in one of the MRL cars. We'll be looking to get back focus. Race Asylum Nick continuing to extend that gap. 7 seconds. And they're all in, as Nico Rosberg once said, equal machinery. Except for a few. It's mainly Supras here. So very impressive stuff, and especially given they're on the mediums. Pescopoldo on the softs. Speed Hunter also on the mediums. Quite a few choosing to get the mediums out of the way. Perhaps also because the increased tyre wear that has been tricky, at least for the organisers to adjust settings and such for. I don't believe they've been changed since. Of course, physics update and such, relatively recent, only a few days ago. That has been just clipping the gravel through Della Roggia. Car number 19. And Rislan, I believe, is the top non-Supra for that particular category. We are hearing hardware issue from the official Endurance Racing Federation channel regarding CCFC. That might just be reacting to what I thought it was, or whether that's official word from the driver. Yeah, it wasn't a swap for the lead in the pits. It was Nick closing in on Pescopoldo and passing, we believe, into Della Roggia around lap 4 or 3. And the gap continuing to increase. Let's see the gap between Pescopoldo and Speed Hunter. That gap has come down and is continuing to. See if I can figure out some more keyboard controls there. Ah, there's the camera control. Nice having that all back. Here we are on board then, helmet cam. With Speed Hunter making their way down one of the many straights here at Monza. The Temple of Speed, making their way through the Ascari chicane, avoiding those anti-cut bumps very nicely. Oh, it should, in theory, be a bit easier for the car to go over those bumps now, given the physics update. We shall see. We're running a little bit wide through Parabolica. That might be 0.5 penalty. I think they've just about got away with that one. Thought it was going to be a little bit of latency. That gap continuing to close down. That is being caught by Rislan, it would seem. That gap a little bit closer. Within a second. Not quite within slipstream range. We expect slipstream to be around 7.5 tenths. can be lengthened a little bit depending on the wind direction, as Battersby actually goes into the pits. This is an interesting one. Perhaps just going on to the softs. They don't have damage and they've got plenty of fuel on board. So this is a bit of a strange one. New tyres going on. Yokohama, the tyre of choice. Fueling up and out of pits. Good stop there. And they are on mediums again. So that is a very bizarre pit stop. Because they're down to 8th. The fuel isn't much different than it was before they pitted, and the tyres as well. If one of the team members could perhaps explain what that might have been about, that would be much appreciated. That's unfortunately ended that little battle that was developing between them and Rislan. Nevertheless, Speed Hunter continuing to catch their personal best lap just set there of a 48.1. About 3/10 off the fastest lap from this stint, which is again by R.A. Nick. 147.856 as it stands. Car 46 catching and just about into slipstream range now. I'm just looking at the live stream. Unfortunately, it seems there's a bit of lag going on. Apologies for that. I don't know what's causing that. Lesmo 1. You can see Pescopoldo not quite getting to the apex, so they're definitely struggling. They do have a tyre advantage. They are on softs, but perhaps just not gelling with the car as well as Speed Hunter at this stage. Still the slipstream and a bit of tailwind on this straight. 3 meters a second, as you can see. There'll be crosswind as they're making their way through the Ascari chicane. That's always tricky. Oh, Pescopoldo runs a bit wide. I think the pass isn't going to come into Parabolica, but there's a decent chance of it going into the braking zone for turn 1. Closing up massively in the braking zone. Going back to our cinematic shots. Speed Hunter got a bit too close in order to get a bit of a slingshot effect. I think they've just backed up a little bit in order to do so. Might be a case of just trying to outbrake them rather than the slipstream effect. Manages to get alongside and has outbroke themselves. Can Pescopoldo get it back? Not quite. But they will have slipstream going into the De La Rocha chicane through Curva Grande. Will Pescopoldo be able to fight back? Not quite. Perhaps just letting Speed Hunter go at this stage. More easy to make a mistake, of course, trying to keep pace with another car if they are just faster than you. So perhaps choosing discretion as the better part of valor. Of course, it is a very long race and you want to keep the car in one piece. So I don't blame them at all for that. Risler now up to 4th after a pit stop by, I believe it was Luke Battersby. Still 40 seconds back though from the top 3. Hello to everyone in the chat. Luke Battersby is actually there. So, evidently using an alt account, maybe? Because I doubt Luke would be typing in the chat if that was the case. If they were driving. Average driver, good afternoon. Escoby, hello to the Forza DCT. believe it is one of those. Oh, that's number 46, apologies. That's HM Motorsports. Currently leading, and Nick continuing to get faster and faster as the fuel burns off. And it also seems the gap between first and second is closing down. There you see them on track. Oh wait, no, that was Poldo in the background, apologies. My eyes still adjusting from night mode. Rislan has took 2 seconds out of third place at this point. Thomas Betty, that gap's pretty much stabled between 4th and 5th. Closest battle on circuit at the moment seems to be Wayno and CCFC. Now, CCFC we've seen. She sells seashells, whatever. Tongue twisters. We saw that they were ahead of this particular group before that crash. I'm guessing damage is set to light for this particular event. Of course, makes sense given the net code, but that would also explain how they didn't lose time by having to make a pit stop. But they are closing in. Going on board with them. Car number 33. Unfortunate. Maybe they'll be back for some of the later stints with other drivers. We'll have to wait and see. The gap. Located in the Monza National Park. All these guys will be on stock setups, so all the Supras will in theory have the same top speed, provided no slipstream advantage. And a good exit by CCFC. Wayno not quite in the position where they have to start driving in the mirrors and start putting defensive moves on. Can still drive a quite comfortable racing line. With AC CCFC just using a bit more of the circuit on exit, and has broken into slipstream range. That was 8th and 9th in the background, as well as Luke Battersby gets a corner cut penalty. That's going to put them into the clutches of TS Bet. We could see an overtake going on board. I think it's a bit too late to get it done into the Ascari chicane for CCFC, indeed. And there's the penalty zone, so we're going to check on Luke Battersby shortly, see if they lose position to TS Bet. I would not be surprised at all. Well, it's going to be close. I don't think close enough. It's going to get TS back into slipstream range. Will it be enough for them to get a run? Not quite, judging by the current momentum. Unless they are quite daring on the brakes. It's entirely possible. Luke Battersby's car with a Novice X sticker on the back. Just noticed. And they managed to hold on. It might not be Luke Battersby in the car, but that's the ID I'm seeing, so I'm going with it. And it might be here, as they go a bit defensive. So CCFC did get past, but a repass by Wayno. Gonna catch this on replay. Was it just going into the Della Rocha chicane? Oh, apologies. I'm still figuring out this replay stuff again. It seems we missed that. But I did notice that those two swapped on the timing screen. Nevertheless, the order has resumed. Bit of a better exit for Wayno. And they've just on the edge of slipstream range. I think they've just broke it. Nope. Back into it again. Well, a bit stronger on the brakes by them. But they've overshot it. And here comes CCFC looking to go around the outside of, not Parabolica, Curva Grande. Bit defensive from Wayno, not up to the white line on the inside. And on the brakes, oh, Wayno clipping the grass. Very lucky to have held on to it, but they do lose the position in the end. Here we are on board. You can see just turning slightly, trying to get the best trajectory to the corner, but just clipping the grass in doing so. And they've now dropped back to the tune of 1.7 seconds. In chat, CLR Speedy saying they're sad that Polyphony made it a one make. At least at the moment, new physics and such. Is it a coincidence that the Supra is the car that is the fastest? I'll let you be the judge of that one. Hint, hint. Title sponsor. Hint, hint. Oh, a bit more overtaking going off. What's this? Oh, there's a crash. There's been a crash. It's Battersby. And Strowick has gone through. I think they were a lap down, according to that. What on earth happened to Battersby? Oh, did they drop it? Yep, just on either the white line or the AstroTurf. Or even just getting on the power a bit early. Bazo about avoids them. Woof. Oh, close call. So that's Luke Battersby down to 11th, getting blue flags for a race leader, Race Asylum Nick. That gap has gone back up again between them and Speed Hunter. It was coming down, back up again. Pescopoldo, 12 seconds back, and 29 seconds back from them is Rislam. So they are chipping away. As we're getting towards the end of this particular fuel stint, Rainy? No, I'm seeing that as well. I don't know what the cause of that is. My apologies. Don't know if there's anything I can do about it while live. Just scanning through. Wayno and TS Bat, 4.4 seconds between those two. R35 perhaps gaining a bit. Star Group in 10th. Luke Battersby letting Nick go by. So those tyres looking quite fresh. Also, it must have been a Luke that came into the pits quite early on. Yes, it was, wasn't it? So they're a bit off sequence from everyone else. We'll see how that works out for them. We might have back-timed this. We haven't got safety cars or anything of the sort to scramble the field. So back-timing to the end of the stint is a bit easier, or more predictable at least. CLR Stroek. Quite a respectable lap time on lap 13 there, 1:47.9. Only 6/10 or so off of the fastest lap of the race, so good work by them in the McLaren. Of course, I'm a McLaren driver myself in some of these races, in the Speedy Endurance Championship. So good to see representation there. Fantastically bright pink colour. With number 113. And there is Race Asylum Nick. Still our race leader. It looks like it's going to stay that way for the foreseeable future. Speed Hunter seems to be a little bit better off on fuel, so perhaps that's what they're trying to do here. They've run a little bit wide, not to the point of going off the track completely, but they will have picked up dirt on those left side tyres. That's a personal best for them, a 47.5. 1.5 tenths away from the fastest lap of the race. And they are starting to close in again a little bit. 8.0 seconds between them and Nick. If they can get a visual reference, that might be helpful for them. They went purple through Sector 1. Also, as Nick has to negotiate the traffic, that might also play a factor. It's single class here, so blue flag rules, I believe, do need to be observed, in the sense of get out of the way. In a predictable manner, of course, but a bit different with the stay on the racing line rules necessarily than multi-class racing. A bit of a lift there on exit, just noticed on the telemetry through the Yaskari chicane. Driving in a very nice rhythm at the moment, is Nick. Rizlan, those rear tyres, specifically the rear left, is looking a bit cooked. Of course, it will start sliding more and more the lower that stack goes. So it might be a bit of a trait at the moment of the BMW M6, is that it can't quite keep its tyres under it like the Supra. So saying that, Pescopoldo has worn their left sides quite significantly, even the front left. Oh, of course they're on soft, as is Rizlan actually, so interesting one. Supra seems to be a little bit better on fuel. Rizlan might be into the pits this time around. Possibly one more lap. Yep, they choose to stay out. I'll bring that up actually, the 133 McLaren, the bright pink car, sporting a special livery for mental health awareness. And it's certainly doing a good job with the advertising with the bright pink colour scheme. We'll see if they can get their lap back. Luke Battersby in 11th at this stage. Stargrew in 10th. Bazo in 9th. I believe is one of the DC team cars. Yep, DC Team 1 in 9th. Ueno in 8th. They're looking to be closing in a little bit on TS Bet. Those two pretty much been in touch for a while. As also 6th place in that as well, CFCC. They've climbed their way back through the rankings. Expecting a raft of pit stops to come up shortly. Pescopoldo is the first to make a scheduled stop. There they are. That is DC Team 2. So Team 2 doing better than Team 1 at this stage. As Rislan also goes into the pits to cover them off. They were completely out of fuel. They may have even ran out going into the pits. So potentially a bit of a loss of time. As Pescopoldo onto the mediums now, I just saw, and they rejoin in 4th, so Thomas Betty has gone through. 3/4 for tank for Pescopoldo for fuel. Interesting, we'll see what Rislan does. Given they've burned out all their fuel, they may go for a full tank again. Indeed they do so. They rejoin in 8th. So all the pit stops for that particular lap, I believe. Some still making their way through Parabolica. As Race Asylum Nick, our race leader, into the pits. You see Jack Wilkinson in the background, our famous cameraman. Four new tyres and plenty of fuel for Nick. That has put Speed Hunter provisionally in the lead, so they're slight bit of fuel saving in comparison. Has managed to jump them, at least for now. Extra lap. Would be surprised if they could do another one after this. 85 litres of fuel for Race Asylum Nick. They comfortably rejoin in 2nd place and with plenty of clear air. Onto the softs as well. So I wouldn't be surprised rather, if we see that fastest lap get a little bit faster. Pescopoldo onto the mediums. Perhaps that tyre might suit them a bit better on the longer run. As TS Bet stays out for one more. As the car behind them, CFCC, goes in for a potential undercut here. They're on the mediums. Ueno also in. Use 2 litres more fuel. Bazo also in. Now, if CFCC takes a full tank and Ueno doesn't, there's potential for a leapfrog in the pits. I'd be surprised if these guys don't take full fuel, as Speed Hunter also into the pits. CFCC onto the softs and out pits. So these guys have worked out roughly 85 or so litres of fuel is the way to go. Speed Hunter, there they are, fueling up. And here comes Race Asylum Nick. Going on to the first potential attempt at gaining the fastest lap. Speed Hunter just exiting the pits. They would have lost a bit more time to Nick, given Nick had a lap earlier on the softs. Thomas Betty out of fuel in 3rd place, so the top 2 seem quite clear at this particular stage. Pescopoldo rejoins in 3rd after this pit stop. Where will Thomas Betty be after this? TS Bet also in, the Canadian. Not quite out of fuel, but definitely not enough to do another lap after this one. Number 35 pits in. Rislin goes by. Stargroup also into the pits. So it's going to be around 5 seconds, the gap between Thomas Batty and Rislin. Luke Battersby on that alternate strategy has gone by into 6th place. Of course, they pitted quite early on. Maybe just trying to get into clear air. It certainly worked for them as CFCC manages to overtake TSBet on their exit. A lot more efficient making passes through the pit lane than on track necessarily, though Monza's quite an easy circuit to overtake on. Definitely in comparison to some other circuits. So TSBet will be looking to get those tyres up to temperature. 7th, 8th and 9th, they're all in the same camera shot. 29 viewers currently. I've just had a quick check on that. Thank you all so much. As Luke Battersby has dropped back, I just saw they may have made a mistake. Indeed they did. That was the first Lesmar, so they may have been off into the gravel. And they could lose another position here, this time to TSBet. Oh, you can't change to the rear wing camera, that sucks. And yep, there goes TSBet, breezing by. So either Luke Battersby let them by, or there was a bit of a throttle issue. Quite strange. That golf-coloured machine making their way through. In fairness, it does have a novice sticker on the back as well, so just letting these guys through. Oh, bit of oversteer on exit. That's going to allow Wayno to catch up sooner than later. Wayno in 9th. Better exit than Battersby that time around. Up to 32. Watching, fantastic. Remember to leave a like on the stream if you are enjoying it. Consider subscribing as well. Not too sure on the status of Stint 3, whether there is going to be a live stream. But there should hopefully be one for the finish, well you'd expect there to be. I'm sure T17 in the chat, or the official Endurance Racing Federation account admins will be telling you all the details about that. We're about a third of the way through this particular stint. That has gone by surprisingly quickly. Race Asylum Nick, still a race leader. And what did I tell you? It's like I'm a visionary of sorts. Race Asylum Nick, new fastest lap, 1:47.0, and they're on target to potentially go... No, never mind. They picked up a penalty. Although they picked it up too close to the serving zone for it to register, so they might still be on target for fastest lap here. If there were championship points, then I don't think it would necessarily count if they got a penalty on the fastest lap, but it could be into the 46ers indeed. 1:46.989 for Race Asylum Nick for Team MRL. Fantastic work by them. And the gap between first and second, 8.6 seconds. Speed Hunter in second, car number 46. That is HM Motorsports. Escapoldo in third. Car number 16 of DC Team 2. I'm referring to a tablet that's to the side for my notes on all this. Rizlan Zaranov. Where on earth is the BMW on this? Ah, there it is. Oh, that is an absolute doozy in order to pronounce the name. Is it Armamentaria? Armamentaria is the name of this particular team. Apologies if I absolutely butchered the pronunciation. Nevertheless, that car in fourth. Thomas Matty, there you see making their way through the first chicane. What's the first chicane called again? It's gone out of my head. It will come back, but there's Della Roggia, which is the second chicane, where they're at now. The Ascara chicane, and is it Retafilio? That sounds right. Someone in chat help me, I'm having a mental breakdown over what the first chicane was called. Oh dear. Professionalism. CFCC has a 0.5 second penalty. That's going to definitely drop them into the clutches of TS BAT. Car 35 closing in. They're in slipstream range anyway, so they just need to stay close enough through the Ascari chicane. There you see the slowing down indicator above CFCC's car. Well, not CCFC. I'm getting the C's and F's mixed around. And should easily be able to make their way by. Doesn't go too defensive on that one. We'll just be hoping to slipstream back past again. And I think I saw in the background, yeah, Battersby also had a penalty. That's allowed Wayno to go by. So Wayno up to 8th. And the fuel remaining thing seems to be a constant glitch. I've been sort of looking past it. It seems to come up whenever they get near the pit lane. It might be as a result of the cars having to wait in the pits initially. Battersby, after that penalty, they're looking to close back in again. They also see Bazar, they'll be looking to benefit if something goes awry. TS Bet unable to shake off CFCC. Penalty aside, we did see CFC ahead, so the likelihood is that they've got a slight bit of a pace edge. So an overtake entirely on the cards, going on board with CCFC. Not quite as good of an exit for them as TS Bet, and that has allowed the slipstream range to be broken. And slipstream, the name of the game here at Monza. 40 viewers, fantastic stuff. Thank you all so much again for tuning in for Stint 2. Bit of chaos going off. Some lappery. Speed Hunter serving a penalty. It seems to be this sort of cluster. And is this for position? I don't think so. Between Stroick and Battersby. Battersby into the pits on their alternate strategy. This time they are pretty much out of fuel. Nice also being able to see the track map during the pit sequence. Thanks Polyphony for that update. Fueling up once again for the Golf car. Number 19 of Team EKS. That one's quite high up on the entry sheet, so easy to spot. Out the pits they go, and plenty of clear air. There we see 2 minutes 5 seconds back is Stroek from Battersby. As unfortunately the sunlight in my room has decided to blind me, so I can't see anything at the moment. Hopefully that goes away. Blue flags as Nick is up to lapping Bazo in 9th. There you also see second place in the background, Speed Hunter. Not benefiting from anyone's slipstream at this point. Star Group just been lapped by them. They're in 10th at this stage. In more of the standard strategy than Luke Battersby, who's behind them. I do quite like the strategy actually that particular car of Battersby has gone for, because they've managed to find clear air. Just they can keep it together and set some solid laps. They could find themselves gaining a couple positions, provided they don't have to make an extra stop at the end of the stint. Star Group, personal best first sector for them. They're in relative clear air now. They were being passed by Speed Hunter, but now everything seems to have settled in. Hello to my good friend PB, who was on the Stint 1 coverage. Fantastic having you along in chat as well. .8 seconds the gap between Nick and Speed Hunter. So Speed Hunter seemingly having a bit of a better run of things through traffic. Now that a lot of the traffic's been negotiated by these guys, they're still a little bit more up ahead. But will they be able to close in when they're both in clear air? Difficult to say. Although they're quite apart on circuit, they are definitely pushing each other. In fact, there's proof of it. Speed Hunter on that last lap, a 1:46.8. Fastest lap of the, not necessarily the race, but the stint. Don't have any data from stint 1 here, just the nature of the setup. And purple once again through sector 1. We're seeing a lot of personal bests through there. And as I mentioned earlier, Rislin was chipping away at Pescopoldo for that gap for third. It's now 5.8 seconds, and they are taking to the off-track area there. That's a bit odd. It won't gain you much of an advantage. In fact, it puts dust on the tyres. You saw it was kicking up some dust, and it doesn't quite clear up for the braking zone. For the first chicane. I'm gonna really have to look up what the first chicane is called. I'm sorry, this is bizarre for me. Monza's a circuit that I should know inside out. Don't worry, I've got a third phone on the go. Thomas Betty is in 5th still. Closing in on Rislan, which, given I know Rislan's pace, that is a very impressive feat by the Italian. Right, Monza track map. Hopefully it gives me one that actually has corner names on it. Oh dear. Professionalism once again. Prima Variante. I've never heard it called that before. Yeah, Rettifilo is the name that I've used to. They may have renamed it so it's easier to pronounce for 5 to 5 fans or something. I'm not too sure. Or Will Buxton or I don't know, Crofty. The Crofty's normally okay with that sort of thing. A bit more Laffery going off. Wayno being passed by Nick. Apologies if my stomach is being picked up in the microphone audio. I am very malnourished. Please donate to the Supreme Overlord Radish Charity Fund, also known as my bank account. Oh, we've just caught, unfortunately, Curse of the Cameraman. Pescopoldo has gone off and they're nearly hit by their teammate. Bit of a miscommunication as they went by. What happened here? On board. There was a kick of oversteer mid-corner through Lesmo 1 on the rejoin. There you see, just that jink to the side. They were trying to get off the racing line in fairness, but unpredictable. And those two are teammates, so that's DC Team 1 ahead of Team 2. I believe. Is it? Wait, hold on. Numbers are getting mixed up. Is there a DC Team 3 or something? Oh, there is. Oh, you're kidding me. This is DC Team 3. That is the one here. Car number 10. 3 cars. Well, the keep of the Toyota dealership in business, that's for sure. Into the pits goes Pescopoldo. A bit surprising, they had some fuel left in the tank. This might be scheduled though. Looks like they're on target to make this in 3 stops. So 1 more stop after this one. They rejoin in 8th, just behind Wayno. So not quite the clear air that we saw. What's his name? There, Luke Battersby get earlier, but nevertheless, 8th place. And I think maybe it's also a benefit to be in the pack because there's also the potential for slipstream. Blue flags as Speed Hunter is making their way through. So Nick has lapped everyone up to 7th place. CCFC is the last car on the lead lap, I believe then. Yep. So again, fantastic pace being shown by these guys at the front of the field. And Rislan up into 3rd place. Fantastic effort by them in the significantly different BMW M6. Thomas Betty in 4th place. Again, that DC Team 3 machine, car number 10. Their car numbers are 10, 16 and 420. Because of course someone has number 420. TS Map in 5th. Car number 35, making their way through Curva Grande. Another personal best. Seems pretty much every time we see someone go through that first sector, it's personal best. Also, just noticed very close to the I'll figure this replay stuff out eventually. Can we see? Very close to the gravel was the point I was making there. Look at that! Over the actual stripe part of the curb. Great stuff by the Canadian. .5-second penalty for Wayno. They're pretty much by themselves at the moment, although Pescopoldo is 4.8 behind. That gap will close down, and that particular car we saw was running a bit higher up. They've recently made a pit stop as well. Here is a inter-team battle again. This is the Team 2 car ahead of the Team 1 car, if I'm not mistaken. This is the number 420. Putting on a bit of a show for us with the dueling. Looking to the inside. Rule number 1 of racing, of course, don't hit your teammates in the case of DC team. 3 cars entered. Going on board with them. Bazo looking to slipstream. Will Pescopoldo make it easy for them and let them by? It seems that they do. Look like they lifted off just before the braking zone. Although Bazo's gone deep. He managed to stay ahead, but that's not going to be good for their overall pace. Wayno up ahead. They'll be looking to close in on. 4.8 seconds the gap between them. And maybe they're looking to drag Pescopoldo along with them as well, though very difficult. I'm surprised because Bazo's sort of into the last third of their stint and their tyres are quite worn out. A bit confused as to why they made that swap, but evidently has the pace at the moment. As a star group there we just saw in the background. There they are. Car number 69, of course, another fan favourite number. Black Flag Racing Team. Another Supra, this one red. The sort of matte black masking. Very nice. They might be also benefiting from the slipstream of Stroek at McLaren in order to also catch Pescopoldo. If anything, it looks like Stroek is gaining on Pescopoldo themselves. On board once again. They're getting the signal for blue flags, but if they have the pace and they're not costing anyone time. Oh, bit of contact in the braking zone. I don't believe that would be enough for any mechanical damage to be caused. Indeed not. But again, no ideal. Don't think there's anything too major. Stroike's just got to be a bit careful. Oh, a bit leery through second chicane, De La Rosier. That mid-engine McLaren. Seemingly a bit more feisty than pre-physics update when it was a very, very stable and easy to drive machine. I haven't actually tried it since the updated physics, so that'll be an interesting one. Now, will Stroike actually go for a move and unlap themselves from Pescopoldo? It's going to be interesting. It looks like they do have the pace. Their car is going to be lighter on fuel than the Italian ahead of them. Race Asylum Nick into the pits. That looks to be on schedule. These three fantastic camera shots again. Big up to Jack Wilkinson on the cam for that one. All of them continuing to stay out as expected. Race Asylum Nick. It was 6 seconds as they enter the pits is the delta between first and second, and it looks like Speed Hunter has saved a little bit more fuel. Depending on the refuel speed and the amount of fuel they actually take on board, that will gain them a little bit more time. Looks like they've both took the exact same amount of fuel. Same tyres as well, both on softs. And the gap did come down actually, 5.5 seconds as it stands. Towards the end of this stint, as we get towards the halfway mark of the race, these two cars are going to be very close, I reckon. Just clipping the gravel. There you see the particles. Now that could be tactical in order to lessen the grip for the car behind. I don't fully know if that's been modelled in. It's funny to think about. Running onto the AstroTurf though is Nick. So a few little mistakes starting to creep in. Once you do run onto the grass or the AstroTurf, it's very important to remove all steering lock. That way, of course, you don't loop the car. Easier done in this particular physics set as well. CCFC, there, I think I've pronounced it right this time. Into the pits they go, as does Wayno. 4 new tyres. Fantastically bright neon green rims. I'm a connoisseur of the colour green, and I definitely approve there of Team MRLB machine. Wayno into the pits, very Fernando Alonso-esque helmet colour scheme there, with number 43. That's Team ART. Not to be confused with the Arrows Racing team of either real life or of the Nukeshot Endurance Series. So I'm sure that they would claim more members, the NES guys. Battersby in 11th as... Hold on. That was bizarre. It looked like... Okay, that was Risland going into the pits, but it looked like a notification saying Nick was back in for a split second, which would have been very odd. Into the pits goes Risland. New tyres, fueling up again. That left rear really taking a hammering on the BMW M6. BMW GT cars not too good on their tyres is a trait in real life, at least not since the Z4 GT3. You sort of larger BMWs seemingly generating a bit too much downforce for their own good, relying a bit too much on that then mechanical grip. Perhaps the Supra a bit better for mechanical grip. Be sure to say hi if you're in the chat. We're just past the half distance marker of this particular stint. Will be half the race distance by the end of this stint and live stream. TSBEP up to 4th on pit sequence. They're going a bit deeper into this one than Rislan, so looking to make this upcoming stop for them their last stop and have fresher tyres towards the end. It's all about back timing. We've got approximately 20 laps left to go, by my reckoning. So if they're doing 20 lap stints, then pit window is about open. I'd be surprised if they can go that long. The TSBAP looking to be on target for around that, given their fuel situation. Just got to watch that rear left tyre. Nice and smooth through first chicane. As Bazo into the pit, it looks like Stargroot has gone by. So Stargroot up to 6th. That's good work by them at this stage. Bazo drops down to at least 9th. I think they got to rejoin the circuit in 9th, given the gap between Wayno, although gaps can be a bit messed up on the timing screen. There is Wayno. It's going to be close. It's going to be very close, actually. I think Wayno goes by. Indeed. Fantastic stuff. Wayno perhaps making a pit stop, judging by the timings on lap 37, so they had a couple laps on these softs, and they've managed to get by Bazo. Bazo will be looking to settle into these fresher tyres. You guys are all going to be cutting it close with getting to the end. There might be a splash and dash, or maybe a bit of fuel mix 3, fuel mix 4. Someone has spun at the Ascari chicane. Who is that? It's Pescapoldo, who's just gone into the wall on exit again. So yellow flag through that sector. Got to be careful with the rejoin, reversing across the circuit. Indeed, there you see the marshals doing a fantastic job of waving the yellow flags. We're going to see if we can catch what happened to Pescapoldo. My guess is grass. Just watch the outside. No? Oh! Very odd. Complete steering failure. Car just not turning at all. It got slowed down enough, and then on throttle, just into the wall. That is a bizarre one. So they may have been having technical issues this whole race. They have dropped down quite a lot of positions, unfortunately. Thomas Betty into the pits. They'll be looking to make this their last stop. They've done a very good job getting to this point, and they might be able to rejoin in some clear air by the looks of it. Going to be close with Rislan, maybe. I do think Rislan's going to just about managing to get ahead there, because Rizlan was definitely in third earlier. Well, fantastic work there by car number 10 of DC Team 3. Thomas Matti, the Italian. Best Italian, actually, on circuit at the moment. Best place. 7th place currently into the pits. That's Star Group. Would have heard the Corvette if it was on circuit. Star Group rejoins in 9th place. They just about got a visual reference on 8th and 7th. These two are probably the closest on circuit at the moment. Bazo and Bueno. The gap between Nick and Speed Hunter has gone up to around 10 seconds. So, Nick perhaps putting the hammer down a bit. Saw that the gap was getting a bit close between them and Speed Hunter, and has absolutely gunned it. Their fastest lap set on lap 35. Fastest lap of the race. They retook that honour. 146.767. As Bazo has a penalty. 0.5 seconds. That will drop them out of slipstream range, which is extremely unfortunate for them, considering they've only just, when you're this close to someone ahead, makes things a lot more motivating. Star Group in 9th, 7.5 back from these guys. Will be able to benefit if something happens. Not that I'm wanting anything to happen necessarily. Escapoldo in 10th. Stroek in that mental health McLaren. Still in 12th. Still a lap back on Luke Battersby, I believe. Although they are ahead of them now. Oh, so they're just off of being lapped by Battersby then. 1:45, there we go, the timing screen's updated. Yeah, good work by them. We haven't really seen Stroek in any kind of strife throughout this particular stint, so good work by them, keeping the car in one piece, and we'll be looking to change over to one of their teammates by the end of this particular stint, as that is Battersby in the background, just overcooking it into Lesmo 2, on board with them. Was it grass? Was it just outbraking themselves, I think? I think it was them releasing the brake a bit too soon. Easily gathered it up again though. Pescopoldo now has a 7.2 second gap, and increasing now to around 7.5 over Battersby. Race Asylum Nick now the gap up to around 10.7 seconds, so several more tenths gapped, and Speed Hunter in their pursuit has picked up a 0.5 second penalty. That's not going to help their case. They are at the very least well ahead of Thomas Batty in third. That is best of the DC team machines. Rizlan, best non-Supra. Don't think we have a separate award for that particular category, but great job by them so far. TS back, rounding their way through Parabolica. very nicely. Got a comfy gap to CCFC, who I believe has just been lapped in the background there by a speed hunter. Bazo and Waynar, those two seem to be the closest on circuit at the moment. Bazo again, we saw this from another car earlier, I think, was running over that white line on the inside of the start-finish straight, picking up a load of dust on their tyres. It is technically a slightly shorter run to the checkered flag, but the dust on the tyres is not going to be helping them, especially on the braking. With less grip, to get on the brakes slightly earlier. There's a cluster of 3 cars on the start-finish straight now. I'm not too sure who that is. It's 12th, then 10th, then 11th. Oh, actually, so that means Pescopoldo has lost a bit more time because Vadisby has caught up again. So we could see a swap between those two for a place in the top 10. Pescopoldo will have Stroak as a rough reference. Stroak ahead of them as... Oh! That is Vadisby just making a mistake. Easy done. Let's see if we can piece together what happened. Just outbroke themselves and over the bumps on the rejoin. Those anti-cuts. And the gap's gone back up. That's going to keep seesawing. Both of those guys need to just focus on keeping the car on circuit, not minimizing mistakes, I should say. Again, that could have been a lot worse. Race Asylum Nick. Again, no real mistakes from them pretty much throughout this whole thing. They'll be very pleased with their run if it continues like this. 146.425, the new fastest lap. That was set on lap 43. 13 seconds between them and Speed Hunter. So, my prediction earlier of those two being very close towards the end for the switchover at the halfway point, that is not looking to be quite the case. Thomas Betty, again, fantastic job by them to get into 3rd place. A bit sneaky, but it's worked out for them. And the gap between them and Rislan, 1.5 to 1.6 seconds. Basically, look at the delta between the Supra and the M6 on the straight. The Supra gaining, what, around 3/10 on the straight alone? Neither of them had slipstream. Polyphony, I think we've got something we might want you to look at here with your balance of performance. Well, given that circumstance, Rislan's doing an extremely good job of managing to stay with them. As we just saw in the background, Race Asylum Nick getting close to the point of even lapping those two. So they've lapped the field up to TS Bat in 5th, who's just ahead of Speed Hunter. Blue flags being waved. Ahead on circuit, not on the same lap. CCFC 6.1. Relatively consistent 148. been getting a little bit faster as the fuel has burnt off. That's somewhat to be expected. Bazo with a 4-second gap over Wayno. Those two were a lot closer earlier on. Wayno with a personal best through Sector 2. All is not lost. There's still a decent bit of the race to go. Not least the other half of the race after this stint is done. If someone in charge, whether it's T17 or I suppose Nick's actually on circuit so he can't say anything, unless he's got that much of a lead, they can stop on circuit and let us know in chat. But if you could let us know in chat what's going on with the Stint 3 situation, whether there will be a live stream or not, that'd be much appreciated. Same with Stint 4. .5 second penalty for Speed Hunter. So, even if they get past TSPAP now, TSPAP's easily going to repass them, so perhaps the sensible thing in this situation would just be to stay back, serve the penalty, and then re-catch up again. Thanks for that slipstream, though, that they've had. They're on a overall fastest lap by 0.03 of a second. Until that happened, now they drop back significantly. And those larger penalties really do cost you a lot more. A 0.5 will lose you around a second, whereas a 1.5 can lose you up to, around 3 seconds, really, based on the amount of slowing that it does. CCFC in 6th place. Super GT would be proud. Yeah, I agree, slipstream racing. That was quite a chunky penalty. I'd imagine it would be for track limits, because it'd be I'd be surprised if they've got the collision penalties on, given it's a league. Tend to do manual stewarding for that sort of thing. Oh, just clipping the gravel. CCFC. They'll be looking to close in on TSBAT, or at least handing over the car to one of their teammates to close in the following stint. So staying in touch. I think the gaps are going to be a bit more spaced out for Stint 3 than they were at the start of Stint 2. Again, to be expected, but with the different driver skills, things can all shuffle once again. I think the best example of that was Pescopoldo, who I think they might have even been leading going at the start of this, but just really unfortunate circumstances saw them drop to 10th place after a couple mishaps. Judging by the fuel, they've got another stop to do, so that's going to drop them back behind Luke Battersby, who has just done a pit stop, I believe, the lap before. Onto a fresh set of mediums, so they might not have used the mediums before in this, thus having to use them now, provided that's the rules. If it's similar to the Speedy Endurance Championships, then it should be. Run by the same people here at the Endurance Racing Federation. Again, if you are enjoying the stream, be sure to leave a like. Consider subscribing for future content. Thanks again to everyone who already has. Indeed, Star Group has managed to, well, cut the chicane for a start, but besides that, they are in 9th place. That's potentially going to get them a penalty. I think they went slow enough to the point where they're not going to get one. Actually, it seems that way. Pescopoldo into the pits, meanwhile. As we just expected. But yeah, good work there by Star Group. Just checking the team names again. That is the Black Flag Racing Team. Pescopoldo into the pits. They'll be fueling up. They probably already have changed the tyres on the car. Wind speed has dropped a bit. It's now 2.2 meters a second. It's been quite stable. It's not been getting too windy here at Monza. And yet Pescopoldo rejoins 15.5 seconds back from Luke Battersby. But they are on softs compared to Battersby on mediums, so there's the potential there to catch up. And Battersby with a 1 second penalty at the De La Rocha chicane, all going to play into the hand of Pescopoldo. Again, just keep it together, guys. Stay consistent. Not long to go now in this particular stint of the race. There's the potential that there might be some onboards for stint 3 if there isn't a proper commentary live stream. So if that is the case, I definitely recommend checking those out. TSBAP goes by, putting a lap on Battersby. A fantastic Gulf Racing colour scheme. Ran a bit wide at Parabolica, but managing to avoid a penalty. It's just lost time in doing so, if that's the case. Let's check in on Stroak. They're actually 33 seconds back from Pescopoldo, and they look set to go to the end, so they've actually done a very good job. As what I was saying was just being consistent and letting the cars around you make mistakes rather than yourself. 32 seconds back. Now if they get to the switchover with that gap further reduced, that's really going to help that car gain a couple of positions perhaps in the later stints. So again, great job by them. Their last lap was a 48.1. Pescopoldo's was a 217.4. Yellow flags. What on earth's happened? Someone up ahead? Is that Battersby? It is. Battersby's off. Battersby is off, and that is an overtake for the top 10. 0.5 second penalty for Pescopoldo, but they managed to get past as Luke Battersby makes a mistake. They've picked up damage. They're letting Bazo by. Race Asylum Nick is out of fuel and into the pits. This is, I don't think, part of the plan for them. Maybe it is. Well, if it is, then they've been running to make an extra stop in terms of pace. They've got, the top two have definitely got a significant gap over Thomas Batty, who was first of the cars that could go to the end. These two are a bit short on fuel. Nick leaves the pits. Pescopoldo might get a bit of an overlap here on our race leader, and indeed does so. Goes by. Do they let them back through? Oh, close stuff. Just trying to get out of the way of everyone. Bazo goes by as well. Those two are teammates. As Battersby went into the pits. Let's see if we can catch up on what happened to the Battersby car. It seems to be the same place that they lost it before. Yeah, that second Lesmo has been catching them out. And just on the rejoin, as they're in the gravel trap. There goes Pescopoldo into the top 10. And after that pit stop, that's allowed Stroek to get within 4.5 seconds of Battersby. So they might even be able to make an overtake before the end of this particular stint of the race. The stream still seems to be having that graininess. Apologies, that's been there throughout the whole thing. Again, not much I can do about that, unfortunately. That gap is coming down. It was 4.5. It's now down to less than 4, as I think Battersby had a bit of a dodgy exit of the Ascari chicane, going on board. Wayno into the pits. So Wayno's going to drop back. CCFC as well. So some more of these guys are not able to quite get to the end without having to make that extra stop. Stargroup has benefited up to 7th due to the extra pit stops. CCFC in 8th. Wayno still in the pits in 9th. They seem to have quite a gap over Pescopoldo to be able to get out comfortably in 9th. But yeah, they've dropped a couple of positions from that particular pit sequence as Stargroup lets Speed Hunter go by. Where's the gap between the leaders? 15.2 seconds. So that's been relatively stable. Thomas Batty around 50 seconds back from the top 2. So that strategy from the top 2 seems to have worked. Thomas Batty seemingly making one less stop. That served them well as well. Has got them to 3rd place. It must have been the sneakiness that got them by Ruslan Zaranov of Belarus. It was a 48-0 for Ruslan last time around, compared to a 48-2 for Thomas. So Ruslan gaining a little bit as we get towards the end of the stint. TS Bet just clipping the gravel. You also see the marbles build up over the race on the outside. Really have to avoid those. There's chunks of rubber that come off the tyres. As the name suggests, quite slippy if you go over them marbles. 1 second penalty for Bazo. Stargroup is a bit too far back to benefit from that. Although Bazo, looking at the fuel and the tyre situation for them, I think they are going to have to make one more stop. So Bazo's going to potentially drop down the order here. And that penalty is definitely not going to help them. Hearing from Slipstream Racing, Thanks for messaging in. I was first stint. We made wrong call on tyres and we lost a good 40 seconds, and the pace was so fast. Started 11th, finished 10th. James is now up to 9th place. Slipstream Racing, that's not on the entry sheet as a team name. And James isn't a name that we have on here. But perhaps they're referring to Star Group, who was around. Yeah, 7th at the moment. Okay, so it is Star Group. So that is the Black Flag Racing team. Again, unfortunate that Breaking Clouds Racing team in that Jaguar F-Type unable to compete for this particular stint. I believe that the driver for that would have been oh wait, no, sorry, that's wait, is it? There's CLR Speedy in that team, so that's quite a few of the CLR guys. So there's Yupe, there's Stroek. Wait, hold on a second, no. That's Stroek there, and that's the number 113. My apologies, they're not in a Jaguar F-Type, but it says they are on the what should call it, entry list. But they are indeed in a McLaren, as there was an overtake between them and Battersby. See if we can catch this. Stroek just running wide. They were behind Battersby. Must have got by and back ahead again. So yeah, some of the entry list cars not quite the same. There's it was the other Jaguar F-Type, I believe, of the Team EKS. There's a blank spot there on their entry list, which I believe is a Gemini, who was down to be one of our commentators, unfortunately not feeling too well. Get well soon, Gemini. Race Asylum Nick with Team MRL, car number 44. They're on lap 57 of what would be 68, is when everyone goes to the pits. Tell you what, I'm really surprised by how fast this particular stint has gone by. It's been fantastic, full of action. Which, given it wasn't stint 1, is quite something. Speed Hunter, we're going on board with them, just making their way past Pescapoldo. There, okay, I have to press L1 on my controller while having the keyboard switch to this camera in order to get the rear wing cam. There we go. And it doesn't pull up that menu, which is very nice. Bazo is indeed into the pit. So we could see, well, in fact definitely going to see Star Group gain another position. So that particular team will be extremely happy. Number 420, this is DC Team 1. Change the tyres. Not going to need too much fuel. Maybe around half a tank, if that. That was a long time stationary. A bit over half a tank. Just playing it safe. They're on mediums, so maybe they couldn't have used mediums before, because then surely they would have gone softs, because this is a really short stint now to the end of around 10 laps or so. In fact, less than that, given they're a lap down. And yes, Black Flag Racing Team now up to 6th place. That has been steady but certain progress by that team. They'll be extremely happy with that and looking to continue that into stint 3. 26 seconds from Brislan as well. So they'll be happy with that. And so another pit stop, someone else who hasn't quite got it right for the timings. It is TS Bet. So they're going to drop to at least 5th, possibly 6th. Brislan seems fine on fuel. Will be again quite short of a fuel stop. I think they are going to get ahead of Star Group. I don't think that gap's quite close enough. Mediums for TS Bet. So maybe it's tactical just to have the mediums be a relatively short stint at the end. Maybe that's what these guys were thinking. Speed Hunter goes by, TS Bet lets them through. Nicely done. There you see side by side between Stargroup and Pescapoldo. Those two not on the same lap. But 5.3 seconds between Stargroup and TS Bet, and Stargroup is on the softs, so they are worn, compared to TS Bet on the mediums. Stargroup also on less fuel. Actually, has Stargroup done their fuel calculations right? That's going to be cutting it close. And I'm not too sure. Car number 69 of the Black Flag Racing Team might need a splash and dash. I think they were perhaps betting on the lead car. Oh wait, no, because of the way this works, everyone has to make it to that lap count, as opposed to the in-game endurance race settings, where once the flag's out, you can cross the line with several laps taken out, if you are laps down. So, yeah, I'm really having doubts there about Star Group and that fuel situation. The rear left tyre is already shot. Black Flag Racing TV, thanks for having you in the chat as well. Is there a broadcast for Lobby 3? That's what I don't know myself, actually. I don't believe so. I think the person that was down to do it isn't feeling too well. So I don't think there's going to be one. Someone who's a member of staff, please correct me if I am mistaken. We're hoping to have a Stint 4 broadcast, at the very least. Should at least hope so, given that's the one that everyone's been working towards. As, oh, Pescapoldo into the gravel. Just getting caught out by the anti-cuts there and the curbs. Thomas Betty into the pits. Now, is this going to be another tactical medium stop? Just to run them at the end on a very short amount of time. I've been really surprised by the amount of pit stops this late on. I would have thought that these guys could have got to the end if they had fueled enough, but perhaps the tyres that they were on, the softs, wouldn't have lasted compared to the fuel. Currently 25 viewers. Thanks again so much for sticking with us for part 2 and part 1 for those of you that were there. Be sure to leave a like if you haven't already, if you are enjoying the broadcast. I hope I'm doing an okay enough job. Thomas Batty into the braking zone for the De La Rocha chicane. Again, that anti-cut, that yellow sausage curb, catching some people out. Thomas Batty managing to keep it on the road. As, yep, Star Group into the pits. This is what I feared. Well, actually, they have damage. When did that happen? Oh, it looks like they lost it at Parabolica.